Hi, I'm Barry Sahajian, and this is what you can do with the jazz standard, and the tune is Blue Bossa. Blue Bossa is a great tune. It's a little special. Most jazz players have this in their repertoire because it's so popular and it's such an easy thing to improvise and interesting as well. You can count on. If you know that, it's going to get called someday, sooner or later, when you're in a jazz situation, jam session, or gig, or whatever. Okay, let's take a closer look at the form of this song. Now, the form is questionable on what we would like to call it. I did a little research online to see what other people think about it. Everybody has a different view of what the form is. I saw at least 4 or 5 different ways. Now, that in itself is confusing. In my view, this is a 16-measure form. So another way of looking at the form, which I have seen that other people use, you have 4 systems, 4 measures apiece. The first system would be your A section. The second system would be your B section. And the third system would be your C section. And the last system would be the same as the B section. So you have A, B, C, and B again. I think this is more than you really need in such a short form, 16-measure form. On 32 bars, you have 8-bar sections for the most part, and it makes a lot more sense. And this can be useful, and the way I see it, you can relate to this form in any number of ways, and sometimes you can use combinations of ways to understand it. Some people refer to it as a 16-bar blues form. So I am going to try to simplify it down to something we can work with, because we don't want to be confused. It has to be clear and simple so we can find lines to play. The complexity of playing the jazz is to be able to improvise, create spontaneously, which means you need to understand the chord changes so you can explore the options and play on it and make a beautiful improvised sound. So what we have first off is it has 3 flats on the music. That means in our C minor for the first chord. This tells me we're in a minor key. That's good. So now we have 2 measures of C minor, which is the 1 chord in a minor key. And then we have the Fmi7 to a B flat 7, which is a 2-5. Now usually a 2-5 resolves to something, but in this case it does not resolve. It goes to a 2-5 of 1. There's a name for this type of progression. It's called the Deceptive Cadence. It's called the Deceptive Cadence because Fmi7 to B flat 7, under normal circumstances in a 2-5-1 progression, there'd be an E flat major 7th here, but there isn't. So it's deceiving. So they call this a Deceptive Cadence. So if you look at it like, let's see, F- to B flat 7 is a Deceptive Cadence. That tells you it's not going to E flat, but it's going to instead to a 2-5 of the 1 minor. Now we go to E flat minor 7, A flat 7 to D flat major 7. Now this is simply a 2-5-1 moving to a new key, D flat major 7, which is great, gives it some more color. You're totally in another key now. It doesn't relate to the minor key of C minor. And then we go back to a 2-5-1 of C minor, which is the 1 minor in a minor key. And then we have 2-5-1 going back to the top, which once again is a C minor, the 1 chord in a minor chord progression with the key flat signature of E flat. What I just played you was the 16 measures and with the cliche lines using a combination of arpeggiated and scale tones. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to break them down and explain to you what's happening theoretically to make it easier for you to use them. What I suggest is playing this so you can play them easily, technically, and understand what you're doing and how it relates to the chords, because all of this is important in improvisation. So I'd like to start out by explaining what I'm doing with each measure, a little theory and options for the lines. It starts out here with the C minor. So what I'm using on the C minor is a root, a second, a third, and a fifth. And I play it with a rhythm that is 1 and 2 and. So if we wanted to extend on this, we could extend it up the Aeolian scale, or the natural minor scale, which includes a flat 6, and it winds up sounding like this. Up and down the scale. That will be a scale approach. Okay, now we move on to the second measure, and this is also a C minor. What happens here is we are playing the same line, and when we go to the fifth, we invert it. It goes below. So basically that is the same line, same notes. So what can we do to combine those two lines to make it a 2-bar phrase? Or something like that, you know? Those are some alterations you can make as long as you understand what you're dealing with. 1, 2, flat 3, and 5 using a C minor. Next, we'll be playing the F minor. The F minor does the same thing. It plays 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, flat 3, 5. It's the same line as in the first measure. Once again, you can extend on this, but this would be the Dorian scale, and you would have the 6, the major 6 in it. And so that is how you create lines. I'm not really using a whole bunch of approach notes or jazz tones yet. That's going to happen on the very next measure, and that will be a B flat. So what I'm doing on this is I'm playing a chromatic approach between the 1 and the flat 7. So same rhythm, 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and 1, and then a passing tone to the flat 7, and then the 5. Right now we're going to quickly run down measures 5 through 8, a D minor 7 flat 5 when we start with the root and the octave, and then we play the flat 7 and the flat 5. Next we have the G7 with a sharp 5, and we're going to start on the 5th position and play a G, flat 7, sharp 5, and then the 3rd in that position. Next, C minor triad. Right in position to play the 8th fret, 1, 2, 3, 5, and we've already looked at that configuration. And then we're on the last measure right here, and we're going to play up an octave, almost the same thing as we just played in the previous measure, and play root, second, flat 3, back to the root. And that will be measures 5 to 8. I'll play the whole 4 measures now. Next we have measure 9. So that would be the root going to the flat 7, to the 5, to the flat 3 on the 4th measure of the D string. Measure 10. Right now we start on the 6th fret and play the A 7th. Next we have the D flat major 7th, and we start on the 4th fret of the A string and play. That would be 1, 3, 5, major 7. On the last measure of this system, we start on the D flat, which is on the 6th fret of the G string, and go down the arpeggio. Root, major 7, 5, and 3. I'll play them together. So now we are on the last 4 measures of the tune. That will be 13, 14, 15, and 16. So we have a D minor 7 flat 5 right here, starting on the 5th fret of the A string. And then we go the D, that would be the D, to an octave, to the 7th, to the flat 5. We've already used that configuration once, but like I said, it's healthy to repeat it even in a tune to help reinforce it. And it still makes a lot of sense as long as you don't do it too many times. That brings us to the next measure, the G7 with a sharp 5, and we're playing it from the 5th fret to the next fret, which is a C minor, and we play that from the 5th fret of the G string that will be the root, flat 7, 5, flat 3. Last, we play the D minor 7 flat 5 to the G7 sharp 5, starting from the 5th fret, and that will be the root, and then a major 3rd of the G7th. We have an ending, del segno. What does that mean? That means go back to the sign. That would be right here. This is the sign. So you go back to the sign, and then you play down the whole tune until you reach da Coda. From da Coda, you skip the C minor 7. You don't go there, but instead you go down to here, which is the Coda. If you play down to here, which is the repeat sign, go back to the beginning again, play to the repeat sign, and then you have played the repeat twice, you end up on the C. And sometimes this section here can repeat multiple times depending on whoever is directing the band, or the band leader could repeat it over and over, and they could make it go soft, loud, faster. They might pull all kinds of unexpected demands on you to play it that way, and then finally they will end it right here. Now you have a little better idea of what is going on in Blue Bossa and some ways you can improvise on it. I have great study materials for this video on my Patreon page, which I will give you a link to in the description below. I have the full charts for both examples, plus I have the play along. It's a good way to work out and absorb this material. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, like, hit the bell to be notified of all the videos yet to come, and comment. Ask me a question. I'd be more than happy to answer it. Hope to see you again. Have a nice day.